Dan O'Dowd. There he is. There he is. My man, Dan O'Dowd, former general manager, and by the way, phenomenal on television.
I got one former guy that likes me right here.
Yeah, I'm your guy.
I'm your guy. You are my guy. You're the only guy that likes me. So I love coming on your show. I feel my ego feels better when I leave your show.
Well, I got to tell you this. Recently watching you standing up for starting pitching, it has gotten ridiculous. The people who are – it's like watching our games, watching no one give you innings. I'm glad lately you've been standing up for it because we're getting so ridiculous with bullpens. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's not a fix that's just at the big league level. It's you got to start at the foundational part of our game. The whole incentive system in our game changed. Believe it or not, I'm going to go back so far. It started with the advent of the radar gun. So that's how far it went back. Because I believe scouts, and colleges and evaluators throughout our game, just took guys that threw hard. And so now it's just matriculated to the point because technology's gotten better where we can measure so much in our game. But what we value doesn't have any sustainability within our game. So a kid gets a college scholarship anymore based upon arm strength, not based upon feel, not based upon athleticism, not based upon his ability to manipulate the baseball, command and control, low walks, marginal strikeouts, pitch into contact. Those kind of kids don't get recruited by Power 5 conferences. The only kids that get recruited at the Power 5 conference are guys that have velocity, arm strength. And so fundamentally, that's what comes into the entry part of our game, even at the youth level, if you go to travel ball organizations and youth level. So the whole paradigm needs to change, but it needs to start at the major league level where we begin to value guys that have a field to pitch, have a really good delivery, they're really good athletes, they pitch to contact, they work quick. The art of pitching that existed in our game not too many years ago, we've got to get that back. Because I can tell you, it's the only thing that's going to have sustained health. The amount of money we spent on the DL or the IL this past 2 years has just been astronomical.
It's not
sustainable.
I'm ready to go old school with you because I used to work for the Raiders. It reminds me of Al Davis. Al Davis cared about your 40 time. He cared about speed. It wasn't, can he play? I mean, Jim Plunkett, I've had dinners with him where he talked about, he goes, we'd have guys come in. They were track stars. They didn't know how to run routes. They couldn't catch balls. Al didn't care. He wanted speed. It's the same. It's like, find me the velocity or find me the speed and I'll teach it. And the reality is harder to do than you think.
Well, it is. And like the Guardians have done a great job taking guys that in college in particular that didn't have a plus fastball that now do, but because they had a feel like the Biebers of the world, they had a feel with the added velocity, they become elite. So they've kind of unlocked that a little bit, and but not many teams has followed suit like that because velocity does win. I'm telling you, I get it. It's just that it's not a good product to watch for the most part, and health-wise, it's just not sustainable. You cannot be a max effort pitcher in our game and have any sustainable health, and we need to start thinking about our players' health too in the big picture.
All right, I'm really going to butter you up now. All right, you ready? I didn't trust anybody because right now we have a lot of stuff going on with the A's. And with everything going on with Vegas and the move to Vegas and our fan base is really unhappy. I haven't asked anybody this question because I don't trust a lot of people. I trust you with it because I think you understand it. You understand what it's like to deal with dysfunction. You understand what it's like when a new ballpark is on the horizon, how to start building. I want you to get into David Forst's shoes. And from your perspective as someone who did this at such a high level for so long, how you feeling for David, and what do you think he's going through right now as he's sitting here trying to make moves or at least set up something, pave the way to make moves later on?
Yeah, I think you and I talked about this during the season last year. And, I've gone through some major rebuilding jobs, but there was always light at the end of the tunnel. The thing that always blew me away by the job that Billy and David had done for so many years is knowing that the stadium issue had this dark cloud hanging over their head. And there's so many ups and downs emotionally attached to that. Like in Cleveland, to give you an example, when we went through that massive rebuild in the 90s, we knew that Jacobs Field was coming in 1994. So the pain of all those losses in 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, but we saw light at the end of the tunnel and we could see the talent we were collecting. I can't imagine what it'd be like showing up every single day with that pressure on you, but no light at the end of the tunnel. that would have been emotionally really hard because, I mean, all the people that do these jobs, they're competitive people. And even if you're realistic about your opportunities to win, it doesn't make the losses any less painful. And the disappointments of, a deal that doesn't work out or a player you draft that doesn't get over the hump at the big league level, it just takes an emotional toll on you over a period of time. And it's really hard to maintain any kind of optimism about the future. These are really, really hard jobs. And I really feel for what David's trying to do. I think David's personality has a better chance to handling it than maybe mine's did or even Billy's did, because I think we are wired a little bit tighter. I think David's got a way of putting things in perspective exceptionally well. And I think that behooves him to be able to survive this period of time and start to see all the good things that are happening in the AIDS organization, because I think there are. It's just you don't necessarily see it just yet at the big league level.
Yeah, and when you preach patience, it's one thing patience for a year, 2 years. 2028 is a long way away.
It is, and it's hard because you have, like I call them, waves of opportunities to win. And so you go through a rebuild, and then a wave comes of players, and you want it to time it to where it hits, to where the pitching and the hitting somewhat, you never match it up perfectly, but it creates this opportunity for winning. And yet, like, where are they going to be at? What is their payroll that they can be supported with the club? If they're good young players, can they sign them long-term to have some kind of sustainability? Or do you have to turn it again and again? I can tell you the hardest job for a general manager in a game is not the first rebuild. It's the second rebuild. You use so much of your institutional energy and your passion for the game going into a rebuild. Man, it's to do it a second time. I think it's almost impossible. I think you need to move on at that point in time, because you just, you're worn out from doing it the first time.
You give everything you got.
Everything you got.
And you're like, I can't do this.
And then you get it, and you really start to see all the fruits of your labor, and then look at it and go, oh my God, I've got to do this all over again. I told Dayton Moore after Kansas City won, and they were about to go through a rebuild. I said, because we had to do this in Colorado. So when we got to the World Series in 2007, we still had a pretty good run. We didn't play well in 2008. We were really good in 2009. Just ran into an incredible Phillies team in the playoffs. But I knew, like, and so in my mind, I should have left the Rockies in 10. Like, that should have been my parachute year. But Kelly McGregor passed away. There were a lot of factors that I ended up staying there. But I wasn't the same. I was a little smarter, and as relates to what I focused on, and I saw things that I didn't see when I was younger. But I didn't have that same it factor I did through the first rebuild, because it's just hard, man. It's just really, really, really hard. So I sympathize with what David's trying to go through now. And I can tell you, as good a team as he has around him, when you're the top guy, it's the loneliest place in the world. I mean, you're the one that at the end of the day has to, answer to everybody. And a lot of times people want you to provide answers, and you don't even know yourself. Yeah. Like, he doesn't know truly what's happening with the ballpark situation. He probably doesn't even know his own personal situation as it relates to, the whole move and everything else. And it takes a really strong individual mentally, and somebody with tremendous character and integrity to show up every day and grind it out and do the very best he can do under those conditions.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky to have David Forst.
I think you do. You really are.
And it's kind of like what we saw earlier today with Aaron Boone, where Aaron Boone does a press conference, and it's the biggest crowd, right?
Yep,
of all
right over here,
over here, right? And then he gets done, and then they mob him again. So he's got to do a post press conference. And our buddy Johnny Gomes, longtime A. So Johnny and I are sitting here, and I'm like, Johnny, that job would suck. Because here's a guy that just answered all the questions.
Has to answer them again.
And now he's
because everybody wants their own personal question.
And I'm like, and I think about whether it's a job like that or like what David's doing. I mean, not everybody's cut out to do those jobs. It
really does.
Special people to do the
people don't realize that it's just you never have a day off mentally. One, from Booney's case, I mean, when you're a leader every single day. You don't lead when you want to lead. You have to lead all the time. So you always have to be on. In David's case, every day that he wakes up, he's dealing with another set of problems that he's got to solve. And he's got to solve it in a way that moves the organization even incrementally forward just a little bit.
I think about these meetings, and right now everybody's bummed out because it's slow. I think of last year when the
It happens.
Shortstops went quick.
Yeah.
They'll all wait for Judge. But the one thing from a front office standpoint, especially I think from like a marketing standpoint, you do love if you're one of the teams that come to buy. You do love to have something because of what we saw, especially with the Giants last year when they thought they bought Correa, built a whole package around Christmas tickets, and we got our guy, and it didn't end up happening. But you see what happens with that. When you get your guy and you buy him, it's like the organization celebrates through the new year. It's tickets,
short-term celebration,
spring training.
It creates momentum.
I don't think everybody understands that why teams want to do business here is because of how it sets you up.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are a great example of a club that comes to these meetings with, I felt like coming into these meetings, I thought Farhan, who I really respect, might have more pressure on him than any baseball executive in the game in this offseason. A.J. Preller may feel that a little bit too, and Brian Cashman certainly be in that category. But, it's like the Giants have a really good team without any aircraft carriers. And so how does that model take him to the next level? It probably in his mind, he's come to the conclusion that it doesn't. But then, then there are only a few aircraft carriers out there, and you've got to present a case where your place is the place to go to. And if not, what's your plan B and what's your plan C? Because fans are tired of hearing, well, we lost Yamamoto to whoever, or, et cetera, et cetera. The danger of the position he's in, you end up overpaying for a guy that's truly not an aircraft carrier. And that's the really difficult box he's in, because at the end of the day, the greatest day you sign a free agent is the day you have the press conference. And then you got to live with that decision forever. So you've got to be very prudent about who you want to invest your money to.
Aircraft carrier, by the way, you brought up that analogy, and everybody's stealing your analogy.
Yeah,
now.
Brian Kenny thinks
oh
it's
my
his.
God, I'm MLB now.
I should have patented it.
He's mentioned
that is not his idea. Let me tell you. Let's make that clear.
Yeah. That is yours. I watched that episode when you
clear.
brought that up.
Exactly right.
And an aircraft carrier, as you said, it's a high-priced guy. It's a star player.
It is. And, we're going to have a draft lottery here. Like I say this example, like the Oakland A's last year, that was the one year. Like, I texted David and I said, man, you got to stay out from underneath ladders. Because for me, there were 3 aircraft carriers in that draft. I mean, there were other good players in that draft, and I love the player A's got, but he wasn't Langford, Cruz, or Skeens. He's the next level down. And to go through that season and not have a shot at any one of those 3 guys. Langford ended up playing all the way up to AAA a year ago. He may be the Rangers starting left fielder this year opening day. I think Cruz is going to be in the big leagues with the Nats, and Skeens the number 1 starter. Like, that's the other way to get aircraft carriers, and yet you need some luck in the draft. That was their year. I'm not sure next year there's any player that actually falls into that category yet.
I mean, we need destroyers. We need a lot, but some aircraft carriers.
Yeah, you got to start. You got to get the fleet built around. So you need the aircraft carrier, and then the boats come around it.
We got to get the Admiral to make it happen. We got to let you go.
Yep.
I know you got to get moving. But before that, I just want to promote with your son the virtual reality.
Yeah, I mean, it's winreality.com. We're making a tremendous difference in hitting. I mean, we now are a full-service hitting platform. It's just not about pitch recognition anymore. You hit in our system, you get immediate feedback in our system.
Softball too.
Yeah, baseball and softball too. We created an app, Live Pitch, where a parent that can't throw BP now can with their child on downloading the app onto their phone. They can sit there and they can sequence pitches to their son or daughter and compete against them in the confines of their own home, wherever you got Wi-Fi. So we are making such a difference within our game. We still got a long way to go, but again, winreality.com would be a great Christmas present for everybody.
No doubt about it. Any way we can help you, let us know.
I appreciate it. Let me get a plug in.
Let's get out and sell.
Let's go.
As you said, it's Christmas time. You want to
Absolutely.
Softball, baseball, it works for everybody.
Yeah, and if you want to get better as a hitter in every aspect of hitting, you need to have this. And it only takes 15, 20 minutes, 3-4 times a week to become unbelievable at it. Like there's some big league players in particular, I won't get into their names, unbelievable when they utilized our system last year in the games that they used it versus the games they didn't. Dramatic difference in results.
Put it this way, you want to be an aircraft carrier?
Get Win Reality.
You got to use the product. That's what and as you know, it's great to have Hall of Famers and great players get up there and tell you about baseball, but the reality is when you come on MLB Network, now we're getting the real.
Yeah, you will get an honest opinion.
No offense to all the guys that come on the
Yeah, I
show. We
can't-
love all of them.
I can't tell
but
you.
you want the real. This
Yeah,
is
you
the
will-
real.
You will get real. I can't tell you, you'll agree with everything I said, but it'll be 100% authentic. That's for sure.
It's always a pleasure.
Yep,
We
thank you
always
guys. Merry
appreciate it.
Christmas to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.